And this is why it's important to be an expert in it and actually practice it, because you won't understand the not talking about you, but just people in general won't understand what they're looking at.
Am I being gaslit?
I would never ever agree that the disparity in the primary physical custody awards that you see in this nation is because
That's a very simple question. I'm the same person. I give you my word. We show up. We break bread. I don't talk about you behind your back. I don't cheat on you.
Do you lie?
Ruslan.
Did I get owned by the lead attorney? Now, for context, what happened was he was live on YouTube, which he goes live really late, by the way. This is 10:30 my time, and folks saw me in the chat. We're like, yo, you should hop on. So I hop on, and we actually had a very pleasant exchange. We disagreed on two key things. One thing he did not change my mind on. One thing he definitely changed my mind on. I think we would agree that the optimal environment for children is a nuclear family. Would that be a fair assumption on my part?
I mean, all things being just perfect and like Never Neverland, it would be a mother and a father, and then loving grandparents.
So he already is not all the way there with my presupposition of
a
nuclear family is ideal for parents.
Which is like, let's meet somewhere in the middle. That's the easiest place to meet.
He's already rejecting my presupposition by adding on to it, which is a brilliant move as an attorney. Like as a trained person that goes into the courtrooms as the lead attorney, this is brilliant on his part.
And parents on the father's side with lots of loving uncles and aunts.
A village, yeah.
A village.
Yes, but I think in that the foundations of that is biological mother, biological father, and then the extension of that. And this is what we have in our household with my son and my daughter, and aunties and grandmas, and it's a lot of festivities over here, and so I think if we know then that 75% of men ages 15 and up have kids and are going to have kids at some point in their life, I think where the red pill becomes counterintuitive is when we say we believe in a nuclear family, we believe in traditional values, we believe in one man, one woman, monogamy, or some do, maybe some disagree on that, and then the environment that is created kind of breeds this hostility towards women. Sometimes is accurate, sometimes it's exaggerated and it's selection bias, and it ultimately, with stuff like spinning plates and go run up your notch count and all that stuff, it helps men not to become the type of man that could be a functional, stable, competent priest, provider, protector of their home. Instead, they kind of go out and do all the goofiness we see on the Fresh and Fits. We should be wanting to reestablish the nuclear family. We should be wanting to decrease how many kids are had out of wedlock, and that's across the board, white, black, all types of kids are being born out of wedlock, right? And then so the information is like, how do we give the most accurate, reasonable picture of what healthy, stable families are?
Yeah, I don't think many people at all disagree that nuclear families are good things, or that women necessarily are not, great things, or relationships.
Women in general.
The issue is, it's not the nuclear family. So I hear you talking about the nuclear family, but I don't think the nuclear family has ever been the problem.
Okay.
It's the environment in which the nuclear family exists. And that environment in which the nuclear family exists is a legal framework.
So now this is typical red pill. The environment, the legal, it's not wrong. Nuclear family and marriage. It's just the way we do it now is bad, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, where we land in his ultimate conclusion as a divorce attorney, family attorney, I actually think it's very reasonable, and he persuaded me towards the end. Okay.
So it's one thing to say, oh, well, nuclear families are so important, but we need to make a distinction that nuclear families are not productive in all environments. If you take a mother and a father and a child and put them, in the ocean under, 1,000 feet of water, they're going to die. Why? Because it's the wrong environment. A lot of the red pill people are saying there's nothing wrong with the nuclear family, but look at the legal framework that is the environment.
Okay.
That legal framework incentivizes behavior, which is not healthy, right? Okay. And it rewards certain people for doing certain things, and it punishes people based on unfair attributes, and it's not a healthy environment. So no one is saying that the nuclear family is bad. Let's say that I was a 35-year-old accountant, and I have a wife and she's 33, and we got a couple of kids, decides to divorce me. Well, up until very recently, like this year, in Georgia, and this is the way it is across the majority of states in this country, if she decides to divorce me, then I lose my two kids. The same two kids that came out of my, they're half my DNA, half my chromosomes, but now I don't get to see them half of the time. I get to see them, a quarter of the time, or maybe 30% of the time. Now, why is it? I'm just a good guy. Why is it that I do not get shared custody of my kids? Why is it, I think on Valuetainment, Adam pointed out that 90% of women get primary custody of the kids. That is what I'm telling you, Ruslan, is an unfair and a toxic environment.
So the claim by the Red Pill is the laws are unfair because men don't get custody 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So then marriage is an unfair business arrangement for men. The issue with that statement is it's omitting some of the details. And as we get into the details, you'll notice two things. You'll notice he won't back down from his point. Two, you'll notice that he concedes the data. But three, he'll say you're misinterpreting the data.
When men can have their kids snatched away, when a woman decides to snap her fingers and come hires me. Let me tell you something. A woman comes hires me, I'm gonna get her kids for her. Right? But that's not because I'm such a great attorney. That's just because that's generally how it is in this country.
When you do law, are you usually in the family courts, and are you usually on the side of getting on representing the man or the woman? Because I'm also not familiar with kind of like the minutia of what you do day to day.
Absolutely. I'm a retired attorney. I practiced 20 years doing family law.
Okay.
And I represented both sides. In fact, I represented everyone.
Okay.
Everyone that you can think of in a family that has ties to family law, divorce law.
And so, do you mind if I push back a little bit?
No, absolutely.
Okay. So from me kind of digging into this and also being close to single fathers who I've seen repeatedly get 100% of the custody. That's part me being anecdotal, right? But then the flip side of just kind of peeling away at all of the data, from the research I've done, and I could send you all the citations and all the references if you like, it seems that only about 1.5% of all custody cases ever actually make it to a judge. That the vast majority of these cases, approximately 90%, are 91%, and I could pull up the study for you if you like, are done away with before a judge has ever seen it. He's just doing it as a formal technicality. 90% never go to a court. It's completely dealt with in mediation. The remaining of it, 3.5%, is dealt with and a judge signs off on it, and 1.5 actually go before a judge, and the judge decides on where the children are placed. At the very least, we have to acknowledge that 90% of the time men lose their kids. At the very least, we have to acknowledge that's a very misleading statistic.
Because those 90%, those people aren't even going to the court.
They're not even, it's not even a part of a court. This is handled completely outside of the court. So 90% out of all of the cases, only 1.5% go to the judge.
You mean like in a trial?
In a trial, correct.
Okay.
Okay. And so out of those, what they found is that 80% of custody cases are settled by the parents without any outside assistance. Another 11% are settled with mediation, and another 5.2% of custody cases are decided upon by the parents after a custody evaluation is completed. Only 3.5% of cases are heard by a judge, and 2.2%, this just goes down and down. And then basically what they found out is that when the fathers actually escalate the cases to the judge, they actually end up getting more custody, at the very least 50-50, a lot of times more than 50-50. Here's another citation. The same, this is now the Pew Research, also shows that modern fathers are not only more active in their kids' lives than previous generations, but also taking on more of the traditional parenting roles. That's a big caveat. Who does more of the traditional parenting roles, right? Than in the past. There are still more single moms raising children, but it's likely inaccurate that the court is biased towards granting women custody. In fact, statistics are frequently cited that suggest around 90% of women are awarded custody, but they also fail to show that 60% of men get custody in contested cases. In that 1.5%, men get the custody.
Yep.
Okay. Similarly, in over half of all divorce cases, the parents mutually decide that the mother will take the custodial role. That's mutually decided. Now, his reasoning for this, I think, is amazing. The issue seems to be is that a lot of fathers don't escalate it legally. They just go for whatever is presented to them. They don't fight for the custody. And like I said, no, this is speaking anecdotally. When men actually fight, they get it. I've seen two friends of mine personally fight, get 100% custody. There weren't drugs involved. There wasn't alcohol involved. There was nothing like that. Get 100% sole custody. And so why does it default to the mother? Because usually the mother is the primary care provider. But if you have situations where the man is the primary care provider, the empirical evidence says the opposite. The empirical evidence says that when men escalate, the further they escalate it legally, the more likely they are to get full or at least 50% custody.
Generally, and I don't want to tie myself down to the numbers, but generally that is true.
Pause it. Pause it.
Stop.
Give me my flowers. He said generally that is true.
Yeah.
The data is what the data is. Now, the reason why he gives is it's a tough reason. I get it, right?
Yeah.
But he's still going to tell me I'm wrong. Despite the empirical evidence being on my side, he's going to say, well, this is now based on my experience. So now we're talking about his experience as a lawyer. Respect. He's an expert. Okay. We have to acknowledge that he's an expert.
And this is why it's important to be an expert in it and actually practice it, because you won't understand not talking about you, but just people in general won't understand what they're looking at. They won't understand why. I think a couple of cases where you said that the men got 100% and the women weren't on drugs or anything. And that is not possible unless the woman signed over the rights. And so,
yeah, I mean, eventually they agreed to it because it kept escalating.
Oh, well, I mean, Ruslan, if the woman...
I'm saying the times I've seen, personally, the times I've seen men escalate it, I'm using anecdotal, my personal story, and then I'm also referencing the data. When I've seen men escalate it, they've gotten 100% of the custody. There's been two close friends, best friends, I've been through really messy divorces that walked away with both of their kids because they were the primary care providers and because they fought for their kids.
Because you said the women signed over.
Yeah, at some point, at one point, the judge made the call. What I'm saying is, out of these two situations, one time the judge made the call and they escalated all the way. The other time, the mother signed it over. I know these are anecdotal. That's why.
No. They're very important. They're very important. So I'm glad that you bring them up because they illustrate my point. And this is something that's very counterintuitive. Guys, most divorce attorneys will tell men not to fight for their children.
Why?
Because most men, if they fight for their children, will not get their children.
I just read off the data to him.
Yeah.
The data is 97.5% of cases never get to the judge.
Yeah.
And in the last half, the judge just signs off. And then the other half, the 1.5%, are actually in favor, go to the man.
Yeah.
Yet his answer is, but attorneys don't tell men to fight for their kids. Why? Well, because they'll lose. Not according to the data.
Yes. So he's saying the data says this, and that is also because we see the data and tell people not to do this.
Yes. The data says the opposite of what we tell people not to do. Make that make sense for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
The data says one thing. The data says if a man escalates the situation, he is likely, he is like way more likely to get 50% or more custody if he escalates it to get in front of a judge.
Most divorces you can get resolved for under 15 grand. You can.
Most divorces you can get resolved with whatever the fee of the file the divorce paperwork is.
Yeah.
Just like most bankruptcies, you can get resolved for filing whatever the fee of the bankruptcy is. That's the truth.
You can never get resolved for 15 grand. It is the most expensive type of case that a regular person is going to have. And that type of case is a custody battle. Those things can get easily 35, 50, 75, 115. Now, imagine you're a man and you've got four credit cards and you come to me and you say, Lee, listen, I make $60,000 a year, but I want to fight for my 2 kids. And you're going to tell me the facts of your case and you got a little something. You got some arguments, but it's going to be a real battle because the judges are biased against men. And so we're going to have to put up a ton of evidence. What are we going to have to put up? Well, we got to do discovery. That's going to cost you 5, 10, 15,000. We got to take her deposition. But then we also need to get the kids some counseling. And so you can make $60,000 a year and I can run up your bill to 80 grand, which you cannot afford. So I have to tell you, I have to say, listen, you got a little something. But if I had to say whether you're going to win or lose, I don't think it's 50%. There are attorneys who will tell you, listen, pay me the 80,000, just put it all on all your credit cards. And I'm really going to try and we're probably going to win. And what happens when you lose? They're going to look at you and say, well, we tried. We gave it the college try. Then they're going to take their 80 grand, the 80 grand you paid them, and they're going to fix their house and put their kids through a couple of semesters of college. Good attorneys don't do that. Good attorneys do the opposite. Good attorneys say, listen, what's going to happen when I start charging this 80 grand? You get up to 30 grand and you're going to come to me and tell me, you're going to say, Lee, I ain't got no money. What am I going to do? You know what I'm going to do, Ruslan? I'm going to drop you as a client because I don't work for free. So now I've got your 30 grand, but your trial isn't going to come for a year and a half. That means you got to get up another 30 grand. You got to get on another attorney's plan to pay for the case. So we attorneys tell you, listen, do not fight for custody if you cannot afford to do it. And a custody case is it's one of the most expensive cases that a man will ever have.
So his argument is, I'm expensive.
Yeah.
The whole argument is
the system is broken and I'm the system.
The system is broken. The legal system is broken. I'm the system and I charge too much. So I tell you, just don't fight for your kids.
Yeah, man.
Am I being gaslit? Lawyers benefit from a messed up system and you charge too much. And therefore, it's not even worth it for a man to even try to fight for, like, that's literally the argument, even though all the statistics, because this is the thing with the red pill. We got the empirical data. I come with the empirical data that debunks your goofy point that you lose your kids in 90% of the instances. That's not what happens. There's different types of custody. There's the legal custody. There's the physical custody.
Yeah.
There's who's the child preferring to live with. And so when you hear 90% of the time men lose their kids, you're not hearing that 90% of the time men completely just give up their kids because they don't even want to fight. Maybe because it's attorneys like that telling them you're not going to fight, even though the actual empirical data says the opposite. And that's the question. how many men are actually fighting for their kids? And the answer is very few.
So good attorneys, we say, listen, instead of doing this whole $75,000 thing, what I can do is try to fight to get the most visitation that I can. And most fathers are like, okay, because I can't afford to enter into an unfair trial, lose, and then turn around and pay child support money with money that I just don't have. The cases that go to court are the strongest cases.
Right.
You're thinking that the cases that go to court are equally strong as the cases that don't, and that's where you're missing. The cases that actually get to the trial, those are the cases that the men have the best chances of winning. So you're looking at the cream of the crop and assuming that the cream of the crop is reflective of the base of the pyramid. It's reflective of all the other cases.
No, I'm thinking that the men who really care about their kids really care about their kids.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the men who really care about their kids are often primary care facilitating.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking I'm just thinking of just a different type of dad. You know what I'm saying? Like a dad that's more present in his kid's life, even if he's going through something as messy as a divorce or a custody case, is just going to fight for his kids differently.
It's speculation that his statistic is wrong, but it's also speculation that his statistic is right.
He's not even using a statistic, though, to be fair.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He's using his anecdotal experience.
I really understand what he's saying, is what I'm saying. I really understand what he's saying, but I also understand that that's not a factual case study.
The numbers don't tell you which are the strongest cases and which are the weakest cases.
Right. Well, assuming that the strongest cases, the men are even acting towards wanting custody, 50-50 custody or full custody. That's assuming that in the bottom 90% or the bottom 99% that never see a judge, that there's men there that want it, but you're saying they're getting legal advice saying they don't want it. My buddies who went through this process didn't have attorneys, right? And so I understand what you're saying. I understand that you're saying, hey, the odds are in our favor, this and this and this, but I'm saying empirically speaking, the numbers don't look like that. And then if we can escalate it to that point of, hey, I'm gonna go fight for my kids, it doesn't sound like it's not in the man's favor. You're saying it's a financial thing. I'm saying, is that the only way to fight for your kids? Is you have to pay 100 bands and wipe out your life savings? I'm genuinely asking here.
Yeah, let me just tell you as an attorney, my favorite case. My favorite type of case in divorce cases is when I represent the woman and the man represents himself. Oh my God. Your best case, your anecdotal cases, that's my favorite case. And it's not only my favorite case, it's all attorneys' favorite case. I'm going unopposed. I'm going to crush you. I'm going to crush you. There's no way you can't deal with AV who's in law school.
We backed up. I thought we were talking about cases where the father opts out of fighting for the kids at all and just gets what he can get. Like that to me is an L. You know, this, like if you want to be in your kid's life, you have to actively pursue being in your kid's life.
This is so wrong. This is so wrong.
Pause it. Explain to me why I'm unreasonable here. Am I being gaslit?
So wrong. I'm so glad you're saying this. This is so wrong. You have no idea how many men's lives have been destroyed financially trying to fight for something that you're not going to get.
Yeah. Again, I'm just saying. All I could go off of is the data that I'm finding.
I
thought that's what we was on. How do you come to conclusions of what is true and what is not true? Again, I'm just saying, all I could go off of is the data that I'm finding. And the data that I'm finding.
You're misinterpreting the data. That's what I'm telling you.
According to the data, the men have a better shot if they escalate it. So I don't know how
I'm telling you why.
You're saying
you're saying that you're reading the data, but you don't know the why. You're reading the statistics, Ruslan, but I'm telling you why. Why is it that the majority of men do not go to court for these kids? It's because they're not going to get them. It would be,
or can I propose an alternative hypothesis?
Yeah.
Or is it that the men don't want their kids? Or is it the men aren't the primary care provider? Or is it the men don't have the emotional capacity to fight for their kids? Or is it because the men have moved on and maybe the man practiced hypergamy, found a younger, hotter wife, and they're ready to start a new family? But I'm saying we can't say that all men always want their kids and always get a bad shot from the court system. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around that.
Yeah, you're misinterpreting the data. And I think
he did not address it.
He didn't address a single thing I said.
A single thing.
You're misinterpreting the data.
Why? That was a great point.
But it's true. There are men who do not like their kids. There are men who don't want to spend time with their kids. There are men who don't want to pay for their kids. There are men who don't want to see their kids. I represented all these men because you want to talk about, all these men not doing stuff. But it's interesting that you don't talk about the other side. Maybe you don't know. Let me finish.
I just said that on the front end that my buddies took full custody of their kids.
Let me tell you something about the other side, which you don't want to talk about. There are some moms.
Of course.
And I know that because I've represented them.
Yes.
And so if you have fathers, then guess what you also have? Since fathers are humans, guess what mothers are? Mothers are humans too. So you have why is it that 90% of the women have primary custody when the moms are too? This is what you need to analyze when you're looking at your numbers. Guys, if you don't really practice in the space, you just look at the numbers, you have no idea what you're looking at. You're like, why is it? Why is it if men and women can be equally good or equally bad, you would think that the numbers would be more 50-50, wouldn't you?
Is it possible that the mothers tend to be the primary care providers already, that the kids are already with the mother more of the time, that they're already under the mother's house, that they're already under the mother's regiment, that most kids up until the age of 10 are closer to their mother? So it would make sense, considering both parents are equally terrible, crappy parents, it would make sense that the mothers would get that situation by default.
This is so ridiculous. No, there are millions and millions of great fathers.
I didn't say there were millions and millions of great fathers. That is not what I said. What I said was, equally speaking, there's bad mothers and there's bad fathers. If it's defaulting, whether the dad doesn't want to fight for custody, whether the dad doesn't want to go to court, whether the dad doesn't have the means to court, if it's defaulting, you could also say, well, the mothers if we're all going to be honest, we tend to be primarily raised by our mothers up until the age of 5 to 10. In the situations where we're not, we see other scenarios where the dad gets full custody.
I would never ever agree that the disparity in the primary physical custody awards that you see in this nation is because is because of, you're saying that the mothers are the primary caregivers, not to 90%. That is not. I have no idea, but not enough. I know it's not enough to justify 90%. Do you think that the family court system is fair to men?
I don't know. I don't know. It's not my area of expertise. I'm being honest with you. I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
I'm asking you. I'm also not trying to like be combative. I'm asking you questions because I'm trying to process all of the information that I'm seeing and that I'm reading that is completely opposite of the stuff that I'm hearing in this sort of narrative that paints the court system as unfair. I think
it's not opposite. You're just not understanding what you're looking at. That's why I'm trying to explain it to you.
Or maybe the court system, even though it's extremely flawed, which I'm sure we could all agree, is also trying to figure out the optimal and best case scenario for a child and where should they be placed. And usually, tends to be the mother, even though that's probably not always fair.
You guys also have to understand that there's different types of custody. I'm not sure if you guys know this, okay? Legal custody, the responsibility to make big decisions about school and medical treatment. Joint custody, parents make major decisions for the child's life together. Sole custody, only one parent can make major decisions about the child's life. Then there's physical custody, right? The responsibility to house and care for your child as a custodial parent. Joint custody, the child's lives with each parent for a substantial amount of time. Sole custody, a child lives with one parent, the other still has parenting time nearly in all cases.
Nobody was on in these situations. There was definitely adultery committed, but nobody was out here strung out on or anything like that.
How were they shitty moms?
I mean, when adultery is involved, I think that's pretty crappy to me.
Just because you commit infidelity does not mean you're a shitty parent. You can cheat on your wife and be the best father ever.
That's an L, bro.
The best father, I mean, ever? Like, you get #1 dad mug?
Best dad ever.
No. You're automatically downgraded to like #2 dad mug if you cheated on your mom.
Don't let anybody tell you.
See, my presupposition is that the nuclear family is the bedrock of our civilization. So if somebody steps out on the very foundation of what makes the optimal environment for a child, I think that's very problematic.
Right? Because you're assuming that two particular individuals raising a child is the optimal environment. And I'm telling you as a divorce attorney.
What I'm saying is your character is reflective on if you're a cheater or not.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm not talking about the divergence. I'm talking about optimally what's best for the child, considering people are functional, stable humans.
Sometimes men step out of their relationships because they have a wife.
Step out.
But that does not mean that they don't love their kids. It sounded to me like you said that if a man commits infidelity, then he's disturbing the foundation of the nuclear family.
I would say men and women. Yes, I would say when you are literally tampering with your marriage vows, then yes, I think that's a low integrity thing to do.
Why is this unreasonable?
I don't know.
Why is this unreasonable?
Mind you, this is the video with the title that says Ruslan says he hasn't lied for 8 years.
Hey, but listen, let the man own it. Like, he's really standing by this like you can step out on your wife and be a good person vibe.
Yeah, and then he made the claim that you're saying you don't love your kids if you cheat on your wife. And that's not what you said. Yeah. You just said you're not going to be the best dad ever.
According to the data, which I know we don't like to talk about, roughly 75% of respondents say they felt betrayed by the parent who cheated.
Wow.
Furthermore, 70% say their ability to trust others was affected.
That's not surprising at all.
It's absolutely unreasonable to think that if you sleep with someone else that is not your wife one time, that makes you a
you're putting words
you did. So you said the infidelity. I asked you.
Infidelity makes me question a man's character.
I said there was infidelity on both sides in these situations. So yes, they were crappy.
Yeah.
You're saying people can cheat and they're great people, and I would say, I think if you're cheating, you're kind of a scummy person. We could agree to disagree.
No one's talking about a person. You keep changing it. I'm
talking
about.
I was a person, not a parent.
It's making this idea that your life is completely compartmentalized from the other.
Right.
So this is the same kind of logic that makes people think they're going to get fit if they go to the gym, but they eat McDonald's.
Yes.
How you do one thing is most likely how you do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's intermingled who you are as a husband, who you are as a father, who you are as a friend. Character and integrity is it's all being one person, being one of integrity. It's not, you can't compartmentalize.
Guys, don't listen to this. Guys, you can cheat on your wife and be a great father. Do not ever let anyone tell you that if you have sex with some damn random, now it's all intermingled and you can't be a great father. That is bullshit. Great fathers love their children.
Are great fathers men of integrity? Are they men of character?
I don't know what
and then we know.
I don't know what a man of integrity is.
That's a very simple question. I'm the same person. I give you my word. We show up. We break bread. I don't talk about you behind your back. I don't cheat on you.
Do you lie?
I don't lie. No, I don't.
Okay. So this is where it gets fun.
This is where it gets good.
This is where he gets a title.
I'll own it. This is where he goes in right here because this is him attorneying.
Are you a man of integrity?
Absolutely.
Have you ever lied?
Yes, I've lied, but not to my wife about cheating on her.
No. You said lie. Now you're trying to define the lie.
Yes.
Have you lied before?
Yes.
Have you lied more than 10 times? You've lied more than wait.
I haven't lied recently. I haven't lied in the last, I don't know, year.
Have you lied more than 100 times?
Sure.
But you call yourself a man of integrity.
Yes, because I am not a liar. Right. I don't consistently go on lying. I don't lie to my spouse. I don't lie to my kids. Right. So you can compartmentalize. I think that's a fair statement. You want to compartmentalize. I'm saying I don't think you compartmentalize. I think a man is consistent through and through in who they are in their home, who they are outside their home, who they are when they're with their boys, who they are when they're out, who they are at work.
Did you have the same character when you were lying as you have right now? Or did you change characters?
Did I change characters when I lied?
Yeah, you said you lied more than 100 times, right?
Yes,
in your life?
My lifetime. In my lifetime.
Did you get a new character, or is this the same you?
My character has been refined as I've been growing and maturing as a man. Yes, my character. Does your character?
He's acting like this is the craziest concept ever.
Your character should improve as you continue living a life of restraint and truth.
There's a saying that says that doing X builds character.
Yes.
So based off of that, even just age-old saying,
right.
Everyone should understand that, yes, your character can change. But on the surface level, this sounds crazy, Ruslan.
Yeah, that's a fair.
Do you not improve as a person? Do you not chisel yourself away into the type of person that can be optimal to lead?
So when did you become a man of integrity? At what age?
30s.
I love how you give him an age. Like, yeah.
when I had my first kid, really locked in. I became congruent with my values.
And by the way, pause it. I'm a late bloomer, man.
Yeah.
If you guys know anything about my testimony, like I'll be 100% because of the cheating for my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
That jacked up most of my childhood. That then led me to make really stupid decisions.
So after the age of 30, you never lied?
I can't think of something that I've lied about.
How old are you?
I'm 38.
So in 8 years, you've never lied one time?
I don't know if I've never lied one
time.
Guys,
listen, but you're a man of integrity.
You're getting into the minutia.
But to his point, this is masterfully done. He did a great job here.
And he walked you into a statement of you haven't lied in 8 years.
And what were we talking about? The conversation was about what?
Cheating.
And if you could be a person of integrity and be a cheater. He switched the conversation.
I don't remember the last time I told a lie, man.
I'm just asking you. You say that a person of integrity does not lie.
Correct.
And you've been a person of integrity for 8 years.
For a couple years, yes.
A couple or 8? A couple is 2.
We'll call it 8.
So in 8 years, you have not lied one time.
I don't remember.
Guys,
I don't remember. I don't remember lying. I don't remember. Okay, so you're talking about the lying.
This is great.
I think you can cheat on your spouse and be an excellent parent at the same time.
Can you cheat on your spouse and be an excellent human?
What is an excellent human?
A solid, stable, stand-up individual you would want to do business with. Would you want to do business with someone that you know is perpetually cheating on their wife?
I have absolutely done business with people. Absolutely done it. Would you partner with someone who's a liar?
No, someone that's a perpetual liar. Absolutely not.
No, I didn't say perpetual. You're adding words. Okay. Would you partner with someone who is a liar?
Guys,
this is what I'm saying.
Back up. Because what you're doing is you're saying a lie as a broad generality, and we both.
You're saying cheating.
I'm saying there's a difference between my mother coming over on Christmas and her wearing an outfit that I don't particularly find interesting, and me not telling to her face that, that doesn't really look good on you. That is not the same thing as lying to your wife. That is not the same thing as lying to your employer. So I think you're conflating, and you're great at what you do, so I know what you're doing, but I think you're conflating the two. Now when we're talking about cheating, tongue, rubbing on a booty, rubbing on a all of that is cheating, and it's completely out of pocket. Now, there may be different consequences, and every relationship may be different. Some people got open relationships, but it's all the same thing. And let's not be disingenuous and act like a white lie to protect somebody's feelings because you don't really want to tell them that their outfit is trash is the same as lying to your wife. You know that's not the same thing. We know that's not the same thing.
So now you have different categories of lies. Is that what you're saying?
We know there's different categories of lies. Just
okay,
like
which lies do you tell most? Like, tell us the category of lies that you tell.
I will omit stuff from. I've omitted stuff from.
No, not omissions. You keep guys. I don't know why it's so hard. Then call it a lie. Just call it a lie.
Okay, that's a lie.
You called it omission.
Is omission not a lie?
Okay, no. So he said, what kind of lies? Categorize the type of lies. So you just categorize the type of lie that you don't think is what the lie we're talking about.
Can I give you another example of a type of lie that I think is justified?
Yes.
Hiding Jewish people during the Holocaust in your freaking basement.
Don't lie. Stop it, Ruslan.
So we have to acknowledge that all lies are not the same lie.
He says, what type of lies have you said? Right?
Yeah.
And you say lies
of omission.
Yes. And he said, omitting thing is not a lie. And then you go, cool, then we agree. I haven't lied in 8 years.
He said omitting something that you don't want to tell somebody because you don't want to hurt their feelings. That's technically a lie. We all do that. Do we not?
I don't think that's technically a lie.
Boom. So he said, I don't think that's technically a lie. Even though in your book, you consider that a lie.
Yeah.
Technically, his title is right.
I technically haven't lied in 8 years. Hello. One time for me. One time for me.
Although regardless, that's still a crazy claim that you haven't had a genuine lie.
Sure,
but for the sake of hyperbole, you haven't lied in 8 years. But really, what we're talking about is like cheating. Us
censoring ourselves on YouTube are lies of omission. We really should use specific words, but we use coded words. That is a type of lie. But be clear, that is absolutely different than lying to your wife about who you're DMing with, or cheating.
Anything that is of substance and importance in your relationship.
Yes, or
kids,
or
family,
or,
yada,
or
yada.
I'll take it further. Lying on your taxes.
Hey, this clip is from our daily after party stream. If you enjoyed it, consider signing up for our Patreon community for only $5 a month, where you get access to the replays of our daily after party streams, as well as the uncut extended versions of our podcast, Discord access that's private, and a discount code for our merch store, only $5 a month. And ultimately, it's the best way to help us contextualize the gospel of Jesus using media, podcasting, and of course, YouTube. The link for that is in the description or in the pinned comment. The perks are amazing. You should get on there. It's only $5 a month. I'll see you over there, all right? Peace.